Anthony, great to see you. How do you feel about experiences in hospitality these days?
I feel very hospitable.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to No Vacancy Live. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's Anthony Melchiori and a glass of water. How are you today?
I timed my glass of, actually, I'm drinking blackberry seltzer.
Is that what they call tequila these days? Just kidding.
So how are you? Where are you today?
I'm actually at the home studio. Next week, I'm going to be taking off on a 12-day trip. But for this week, I'm here. And Anthony, I'm still thinking about last week at the lodging conference, when a lot of things that I saw coming together in order for profitability to really shine, you really had to have a great customer experience as well as a fantastic product to put out there and incredible employees to make it all run.
I have a little bit to say on this subject.
Really?
Yeah, where are you going on your 12-day journey?
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about that customer journey. And Anthony, when you and I were at the keynote at High Tech this past year, we talked about that customer journey and how theoretically it hasn't changed. But I thought today we would go to the capital of where we think about luxury hospitality. I'm talking Switzerland. I'm talking Zurich. And I got Jochen De Peuter, who's been a hospitality consultant, educator, and is right now helping companies find success. Jochen, how are you, sir?
Very well. Thank you, Glenn, for having me. Thank you, Anthony. It's great to be in your show.
It's great. Something. We think of Switzerland, we think of mountains and snow, and we think of beautiful, beautiful backgrounds. And you must have the most plain background ever.
It's the most boring, I admit. Yes.
Jochen, let's start off with a question. How and why? I know hospitality schools and stuff there, but why is Zurich, do you think, become so associated with luxury hospitality?
Well, I think it's not only Zurich, it's also the French side of Switzerland. So Geneva is also very known. Mm-hmm. I think hospitality stems, in fact, from Switzerland already like 100, 150 years ago, when the tourists went to the lakes in Switzerland to visit the local hotels. You have also EHL, the hotel school, which was the first school in the world for hospitality. So there is some heritage. You have also some very luxury brands among the watches, the skincare products. So I think this image of the heritage that Switzerland brings gives to the people an image of luxury if they associate Switzerland with brands. So yeah, I think it's just culturally.
And it's a real profession in your neck of the woods. Whereas, in America, for years, it's you go to the military or jail or you go in the hospitality business. And, and I think we were getting right before COVID, I think we were getting a little bit closer to people realizing it was a real profession. Right. And then after COVID, I've never seen it more decimated, which I mean is I see it coming around. It's going to come back. But I'm kind of in the trenches every day now, working on a program with Coleman Hospitality. So I'm seeing a lot of day-to-day challenges. And one of the things that I'm seeing is great people, but they never really wanted to go in the hospitality business, especially line employees. And some of them it's just a gig. Whereas I think we were making some ground right before COVID. What are you seeing in your neck of the woods?
Yes, indeed. There are some challenges to recruit people, but I think that is a bit more in the hotel, whereas hospitality I see much wider. So it's not only hotels. I see also, for example, luxury retail as hospitality, where you welcome people. For example, airlines is also a form of hospitality, cruise lines. even banks, where you also have, for example, private banking, you have to welcome the guest. So I think it's a bit bigger as some might conceive it. On the other hand, I admit that definitely after COVID, many people swapped from industry, not willing anymore to do their shifts, to work in the weekends, etc. I regret that in some extent. I believe that it's a very rewardful industry. It's for people who like to work with people, very people oriented. So in that sense, well, I hope that the people watching your show and the young people get inspired by the hospitality, because I think it's a great industry to work in at the end.
Yeah. Anthony?
So what is your experience been? What is your first job?
I worked first in the port of Antwerp, and I didn't like it. It was a desk job, very administrative, and I said I want to work with people, and then I start working in a hotel at the reception. Yeah.
Yeah, but
then-
what was your first job in the hotel business?
Front desk.
Okay, and what was your last job?
In the hotel industry.
Yeah.
In the-
Well, it
in
was also recently. No, so I worked as a consultant for EHL Advisory Services. It's linked to the hotel business school in Lausanne. And we were providing B2B solutions around a team of service excellence, and also giving strategic and operational advices to hotels. So
What's your
that
book?
sounds
What's your,
very- yeah.
what's your book about?
So I published recently a book which can be found on Amazon. So it's about mastering service excellence in client-facing environments. It's how you can exceed client expectations. Basically, what I want to bring is a bit the knowledge that I have gathered over my years as a consultant. I had to look to be exposed in different industries, in banks and hotels, wellness and clinics. And I wanted to gather all those ideas in a very essential book. That is why it calls also The Essentials, where I bring forward what are the aspects to reach great service excellence. So a great service in general.
And what's the name of the book?
So the entire title calls Exceeding Client Expectations, Mastering Service Excellence in client-facing environments. So that's the title.
I'm starting to look it up right now.
Yeah, do so.
Yeah. Okay. So hey, I found it. But before I get any graphics going, so what are luxury customers looking for today that might be a little bit different than a number of years ago on a global basis?
Yes, exactly. So some things are still similar as in the past. One is recognition of the fact that they are special, between brackets, meaning what we see, for example, in luxury retail is that, you hold events and communities where luxury or ultra high net worth individuals meet together, have an evening, a cocktail evening or whatsoever. So you see the boutique stores transforming more into an experience store, with a couch, having a place, a bar, having catering facilities. So that's a transformation just to respond to that specific need, how we can value those customers more. Of course, also with the digitalization, a lot has changed. Now it's more easy to continuously nurture the relationship ongoing, whether it be with a simple WhatsApp message or with an email or whatsoever. With a CRM, in fact, where you can gather all the guest data and register all his preferences, we can deliver also a much better service as before. So definitely digitalization is also an aspect that plays an important role in luxury, where you can even deeper personalize as before. because you know your customer much better. Important as well is, well, you must be able to show competence. If you speak about luxury industry, you have very trained people. If you open, for example, or if you visit a 5-star luxury hotel, it's very orchestrated. The doorman opens the door. You have the receptionist who smiles, someone around who supports you, guest service manager, or however it calls. The same if you go to a luxury boutique, someone opens the door, someone comes with a coffee. So it's very orchestrated. So all of this shows kind of competence, which is behind the whole thinking process of people who work to maximize the client journey. So I think those elements are important elements today's
so let's talk a little bit about the client journey and like how you could really get into people's attention, because the way I'm seeing it right now is that you've got to balance human touch with technology in order to create an experience that connects emotionally with the customer that'll get them to be loyal, as opposed to looking at their digital device and getting distracted by all the other competition on there. So what do you see are a few ways that you could really cut through that clutter to make real connections with customers on that customer journey?
Yes, that's an excellent question, because I think it hits the essence of the need for people still. So still, it's a people-oriented business, the hospitality business, and I think technology only complements with it. It facilitates the processes, so you have some gains from the operational side, but also from the client experience side. But if you look, in fact, the people are still key, because a machine cannot evoke the emotions. So there need to be some artistic mind behind to say, look what I created, and that the client says like, wow. And so far, it's only people who can do that so far. So in that sense, I think, where maybe the technology is more on the left brain hemisphere, working on the rationality, the right hemisphere brain, which is more about the emotions, that's still something that the staff has to do. So
that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Anthony, I'm curious as to how you're thinking about these particular issues, putting together a program. How are you looking to balance technology with people power to create more?
The big brands have, lots of different programs to make sure we touch the guest. I think pre-arrival and post-arrival is really, really critically important, because once you touch a guest before they get to your hotel, you kind of, they feel, it's like, it's like if you're going to a reservation, a restaurant, and they call you and say, hey, just confirm your reservation, you just feel that, oh, they're paying attention to me. But that's really not the concern. That's as old as time, right? The connection to the guest, whether you use technology. And the guest, technology back in the day was people were looking at the computer instead of the guest. And they're like, why are you looking at the computer? Well, I can't take somebody in if I'm not looking at the computer.
I still see that today.
So technology, the telephone, your massage bed, everything, it's always been technology. What the crisis is accountability to getting that person to hold the standard of that luxury property to the guest. Is what I'm finding is throughout my career is mid-level managers and general managers have a tough time with the tough conversation of the why. Why do we want to inspire? Why do we want to make people happy? Why? This is not personal. So that to me is really a generational issue that we've got to give lessons, and hopefully your book kind of talks to the why of, people don't come to work for a job and for money and for a boss. They come because they feel committed to something. All the other things you need. You want a good boss, you want money, you want prestige, but at the end of the day, you want to get excited. I'm working on a program now that excites me, and that to me is, I wrote a book last year and I did a new show last year, and nothing excited me as much as this development program I'm working on. So that to me is really how you get that connection to your luxury guest, is making sure people are being held accountable to the why. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And with it, I think it's also important, your HR cycle, like the moment that you hire someone to the moment that this person will leave, and what you do in between, because as such, still for each company, people are the most valuable resource. Every company turns on people, and especially in hospitality. So I think, first of all, if you would hire someone, it is someone who, has the art to be himself and doesn't need to be told what to do. Someone
Right.
who likes to please already, who is empathic, who likes to communicate. That's some natural gift. So you don't need to program anymore that part.
Jochen, what's the difference in a personality type between someone who's going to excel at a luxury hotel versus someone who might be better suited for other categories of lodging?
Yeah, so in my book, I discuss a bit the personality insights tests, where you have, the insights test with the 4 colors, which is maybe known about for most of us, where you have the blue, the red, the green, and the yellow, where green and yellow are more people-oriented and emotionally, and where blue and red is more rationally thinking. So traditionally, in client-facing environments, people that thrive a bit more are the green and yellow ones. So, for example, a receptionist is someone who cares about the other persons, who wants to speak with them, who wants to connect, and not being too transactional on just checking in or whatsoever on doing the service. So it's someone who is generally like that, born. So if I see, for example, my youngest daughter, she has this in her. So if we go to a shop, she starts speaking with the people in the shop without hesitation, in a restaurant. So that's something that comes natural, and I think, yeah.
But to answer your question a little, Glenn, there is no difference. A luxury employee and a limited service employee, if you have a really good limited service employee with housekeeping or front desk, that person will absolutely be able to work in luxury. The problem with luxury, and maybe a luxury person going into limited service, is one, they're like, in your resume, you have a problem, because like, why would you go from a 5-star hotel to a 3-star hotel? So that's number one. And number two, the 5-star hotel has policies, procedures, training, grooming standard, all kinds of stuff. So going to a 3-star hotel, they may be like, where's my book? Where's my policy? Where's my training? Whereas a 3-star person, if they're really exceptional, they'll do great in a 5-star hotel, because now they'll actually have resources to actually get them to the next level. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I love it. So, Jochen, before we wrap up, what is the easiest thing to do at your hotel that you could start exceeding client expectations, available now at Amazon?
I would say leadership. It is leadership. Lead by example. Bring a culture. Induction trainings. Set the expectations. Set the values. I think you give a strong direction that people feel kind of, it's not about adherence, but kind of connected with their personality as well. So I think that's the number one thing.
Awesome.
Well, good luck with your book.
Yeah. And one more time, exceeding client expectations, mastering service excellent in client-facing environments. You can find it on Amazon and wherever better books are sold. Jochen, thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all of you guys for being here for another great show. I'm off to a West Coast trip next week, but we got a live show tomorrow, October 17th. You won't want to miss it. And if you do, make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcast, download the show. And if you want to watch us, follow us on LinkedIn. Of course, novacancynews.com and all of our respective pages on the internet. Great seeing you today, Anthony.
Great seeing you.
And remember, everybody, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see you later. Bye.